Good morning and good evening to everyone who have joined the Learning Table series. Connecting this Learning Table series on month basis, where we showcase different business use cases across industries and vertical. In these sessions, we will be covering business cases, best practices, and other use cases. In this new avatar of the Learning Table series, we have introduced a new concept of 12 months, 12 industries, which covers across multiple industries every month. In this eighth iteration of the Learning Table series, we have trading and distribution as the industry. In this trading and distribution session, we will be covering and showcasing the Zylker trading and distribution management system, which handles the business to customer interaction between different stakeholders. Before we get started, I request all the attendees to be on mute. Please ask your questions in the questions tab. A recording of this session will be sent to all the attendees, and please participate in the polls and surveys that are being conducted. Now, let's get started with the agenda first. We have the introduction, and then post that we'll have a small slide on the automation in trading and distribution. And post that we'll talk about the major stakeholders of the industry. We'll also talk about who are the different users of the application that we'll be showcasing, and we'll have the process flow of the application explained in detail. We'll have the products that are used for integration also explained, and we'll have a live demonstration that happens that would be covered from start to the finish, and then we have the other use cases that we'll be covering as well. Now let's start with the introduction. Trading and distribution is nothing but a movement of goods from one place to the other securely and safely. You can bridge the manufacturers, authorized dealers, retailers, and other stakeholders in in this business of trading and distribution. Now let's see who are the major stakeholders of the industry. We have the manufacturers or the suppliers who create products in large scale, and we have the distributors who take the products from the manufacturers and they distribute it to the retailers. In between that, we have government departments as well, right? So who set up policies, laws for smooth movement of a freight or smooth movement of transportation of goods from one place to the other. And then we have the retail sellers who sell products to the end customers. So these are some of the major stakeholders of the industry. And how is digitization changing the industry as a whole? We have a great improvement and speed of scale and scope of the industry growing with digitization coming in. We have the international cross-border trade happening in large scale. This is largely because of the digitization that is happening in the industry. This has allowed a lot of medium to small scale businesses that have come up in the industry, and it has avoided a great deal of fixed asset investments because of the cloud-based services that have come up. Now let's see who are the users of the application. As I told you, we have developed an application. We have internal stakeholders of the application and external stakeholders of the application. The internal stakeholders of the application are the distributors. So we will be seeing the application. We have developed the application from the side of the distributors, and distributors will be the org users. The distributor can raise a purchase order. They can handle the documentation process, and they can raise a sales order to distribute the products to the retail sellers as well. As an external stakeholder, we have the suppliers or the vendor who can provide goods to the distributor. They can accept or reject the purchase order, and they can handle the process till the shipment is being done. We also have the retailers who are another external stakeholder in the application, where they can view and track the sales order status over here. Now let's see what are the process flows that are involved in this application. So we have the distribution company over here, where we are connected to the vendor, and once we raise a purchase order, The vendor goes through with the purchase order. He accepts the purchase order. If it is a domestic purchase order that is being raised, if we want to get goods inside the country, we select the domestic purchase order, and then post that we have the GRN number that is raised and the GRN bill that is raised. And once the GRN bill is fulfilled, we have the stock that is moved inwards into the inventory. And if it is an international purchase that is being made, right, we have a purchase order that is raised for an international consignment to be moved from one country to the other, we need to have another process that needs to be conducted, which is the customs clearance process. So the customs clearance process has a lot of steps over here, right? You need to fill out a lot of documentation that needs to be done. We are covering two major documentation in this part. One is the bill of lading, another one is the bill of entry. So once the bill of lading and bill of entry are submitted to the port, and this will allow the goods to be entered into the port, and post that you can pay the duty payment. And once the duty payment is done, you will have the custom clearance. And once the custom clearance is done, you can raise the bill, and the stock can be moved inwards into the inventory. Since the stock has moved into the inventory, now we can raise the sales order to the retailer, so that a retailer can buy the product from the distributor and they can go and sell it to the end customer. We also are maintaining the sales order, and we are also maintaining the stock of the inventory which goes outwards as well, where once the sales order is being placed, we also update that in the inventory as well. Now let's look at what are the features that are used in this application. We have portals in Zoho Creator being used over here for the external stakeholders. We have blueprints that are built for different business processes that we have set up. We also have custom AI OCR model that has a custom model that we have generated. We also have the canvas builder, which is a new add-on to our extended list of features in the Zoho Creator platform. Now let's look at each of the features one by one. We have the portals for the external stakeholders who are vendors and retailers. We have created an external portal for them. We have given different permission sets depending upon their interaction into the application. The next is the blueprint for business processes. For people who are new, blueprints are the online replica of a business process. We have maintained two different blueprints over here in the application. One is for the domestic shipment, another one is for the international shipment. So both of them have a different flow. So we have maintained two different blueprints for them. So next is the custom AI OCR for document scanning, where we have used the optical character recognition model to scan the text from images, extract the text from the images, and we have used this to digitize the bills that are physical bills, so that we can load it inside the system and get only the details that are required from the bill of entry and bill of lading that I was talking to you about. So this is how it will look like. We'll have a small demonstration of the custom AI OCR. And the next, we have the canvas builder for report, where this is a revolutionized way of seeing the detailed view of the records that are there in the report. You can view it in a very unique canvas, and it would be more informative, and we can share this in a more creative way as well. Now let's see what product that is used for integration. So we have used Zoho Books over here. Zoho Books is a one-stop platform for managing account tasks and organizing your different transactions with vendors, suppliers, and so on. So over here in the application, we have tried to maintain the repository of retailers separately inside Zoho Books, so that you can maintain their invoices, their calculations, and their other aspects of business inside Zoho Books separately. We have created an connection. We have created an integration by Zoho Flow, and we have used it to connect Zoho Creator and Zoho Books. Now let's get on with the live demonstration. So this is the application that we have built. Over here we have the organization details. In the organization details we have the company name, the address, and the contact details. And then we have the vendor form, where you can enter the different vendors of our business, and whoever we are doing business with, you can go ahead and enter the vendor details over here. And once the vendor details are entered, we also have the all item details, which is nothing but the items which are getting to be distributed outside is maintained over here in all items. We also have all inventories, where we maintain the quantity in stock, the inward quantity and the outward quantity maintained as a separate inventory stock over here. Next, we have the purchase order. The purchase order captures details like the vendor, the purchase order number, and we have two different purchase types, which is domestic and international. And we also have different modes of transport as well. So we capture all the important details of the purchase order, and once the purchase order is raised, we also have different documentation that needs to be submitted. So we have the bill of entry, and then we also have the bill of lading. So these bill of lading and bill of entries has vessel number, port of loading, the place of delivery, the place of receipt, the port of discharge, and so on. So we will be filling these forms, and we'll move the goods into the inventory. And we also have a form separately maintained for the retailers, where we'll capture the information of the retailers, and we will be able to raise sales order for the retailers by using the sales order form over here, where we have captured the item details, the sales order number, and the total that needs to be paid as well over here. In the settings, we have the currency exchange rate. Since we are dealing internationally as well, the currency exchanges changes on a day-to-day basis. So for us to capture the currency, we have the currency exchange rate. And the unit of measurement is another master form, where we have the unit of measurements being maintained depending upon the item that you add. You can change the unit of measurement and enter the unit of measurement. So this is a small walkthrough of the application. Now let me get back to the presentation, and let's start with the flow of the app. So where I have the vendor, and I'll raise a purchase order for the vendor. Now I'll go ahead and raise a purchase order. Before I raise a purchase order, if you see over here, we have entered details of the vendor over here, right? So since I have created a workflow where as soon as vendor email address is entered and the form is successfully submitted, I have added it into the portal, where they would be getting an invitation for the portal over here, like this, where they have the portal access. They can click on the portal link over here and log in with their email address and create a new password. Once they log in, their portal would look something like this, where they have the purchase order, and they can view the purchase order, and they'll have different permission sets of moving the blueprint stages from one stage to the other. Now let me go ahead into the application, and let me raise a purchase order. Now, since I've already entered the vendor, I've looked it up over here. So I'll click on Peter Parker, which is the vendor. I'll click on the purchase order number. I'll have the purchase order date as 10, and I'll click on the purchase order due date as 17. And let's first select the purchase order type as domestic, right? Since we have selected as domestic, I'll have the transportation mode as shipment over here. And let's enter the item details. I'll click on Flybird as the item that I need to ship. And we have the other details over here getting auto populated. And then let me enter the quantity. I'll enter the quantity as 10. And as you see, we have an available quantity of 0. Once this stock that we are raising a purchase order for comes into the inventory, the available stock should be 10. Now let's go ahead with the process, and we have the tax amount that needs to be entered. Let me enter the tax amount as 1000, and let me have the other charges as 100, and we have the gross total getting auto populated, getting calculated over here. And now I'll click on submit. Now we have raised a purchase order successfully, right? Now, as soon as the purchase order is raised, it moves to the vendor. So the vendor would be able to see that in their portal. So this is the portal of the vendor with which is logged into Zylker vendors login address. Now, if I click on this over here, this would show me the blueprint stage, which I can approve or reject. As I told you, we have developed two blueprints over here. One is for tracking international POs, another one is to track the domestic POs. I'll click on the domestic one first. And this is the blueprint, or this is the business process that we'd be tracking. First, the vendor can approve or reject the PO. Once the PO is approved, it moves to process PO, where the PO is processed and the shipment is loaded as well. Once the shipment is loaded, the goods are moved inwards into the inventory by the organizational user. Now let's get into the blueprint. I'll click on approve PO. And now I'll process the PO, where I'll process the purchase order with the goods, and we'll have to ship the goods. So let's assume the vendor has processed the PO and they have shipped the goods. And once I click on process shipment, the current stage is loaded to shipment loaded over here, right? So since the shipment is loaded, let us get back to the application. Let me click on domestic over here. And if you see over here in the org users blueprint, we have the inward goods. This means that the shipment has reached the warehouse, and once the shipment is loaded into the warehouse, we have to update it in the inventory, right? So for that, we'll have to click the inward goods blueprint stage, which would move the current stage to goods inwards. Once the goods are moved inwards, let's go ahead and check into the inventory. We have the quantity of stock, which was 0 before, and now the quantity of stock is 10, and we have the quantity of stock getting updated over here. Now, let me get back to the presentation. What did we do? We selected the domestic option first, and then we were able to go through the process, know the net total, then pay the net total with the GRN, and then we were able to update the stock once the stock got inwards into the inventory, right? Now, if I select the next option, which is international, inside the purchase order, I'll have to go through the process of customs clearance, right? So for that, we'll have to submit two major documents. One is bill of lading, another one is bill of entry. These two are physical documents that are available. So since the physical document comes out and we submit it, and post that, we need to update it in our system as well, right, to digitize the process. So it would capture all the details that are required, and we will be able to process the document. Now let's go ahead into the application. Let me raise another purchase order. I'll select the same vendor. I'll select the purchase order number, and I'll select the purchase order date as today, and I'll have the purchase order due date in 1 week. Let the purchase order type be international, and the mode of transport be shipment. And here I'll add the item details as well, right? So I'll add the item details as flybird again, and I'll have the quantity added as 10 more. So ideally, once the whole process is done, the available quantity should be increased to 20. Now let's go ahead with the process. We have the net total and other charges entered over here. We do not have the tax amount. This has been disabled since we have selected the international choice. We have disabled the tax amount over here, and let's click on submit. So as soon as I click on submit, now we have to move to the vendor portal and reload this page. And if you see over here, we have an entry for the international shipment purchase that has been made. Let's first approve the PO. Let me click on approve PO. And once the PO is approved, the goods are ready to be shipped. So let me process the PO and process the shipment as well. So once I click on process shipment, the owners will move to the organization or the admin of the application. So I'll have to go ahead and click on the new international purchase PO that we have raised. And we have different blueprint stages that we need to cross, right? So first we need to complete the bill of lading and the bill of entry. So let me click on a bill of lading first, and let's fill the bill of lading form. So we have the purchase order over here, and we have the consignee AB Corp, and let's have the vessel as GR1224 and the port of loading as Singapore and the place of delivery as India, the place of receipt as Singapore and the port of discharge as India. And over here with the item details, right? So I'll have to enter the item details over here, which is flybird. And with the BOE item details, I can select this image over here, right? So this is an image that is an image of a form. So let me go over here and show this to you. So this is nothing but a bill of entry form where you can capture different details like country of origin, BL number, the number of packages that are being loaded into the vessel, the date of loading, the port of loading, the country of the consignment, the gross weight, and you also have other calculations that can be captured as well, like the social welfare charge, the IGST, and the products rate as well over here, right? So with this you can capture a lot of details. So we have used the custom AI option to capture these details. We go ahead and show you over here. We have created a custom AI, and we have trained the custom AI model to capture the gross weight, the number of package, the IGST rate, the date, the port of loading, country of origin, the social welfare surcharge, and so on. So let me go ahead into the application. And as soon as I had selected this, if you see over here, the social welfare surcharge, the IGST, and the total duties payable has gotten auto populated over here, right? So let me enter the quantity as 10. Let me enter the price as 50,000. Let me enter the assembly value over here and the basic custom duty. So now that we know the total duty payable as 57762, let me enter the value over here. And now let me submit it. So now that we have submitted this, right? So we need to submit the bill of entry report as well. So we already have a bill of entry form image that we have, right? That I just now showcased. So I'll just need to enter the bill of entry number and the date and the transportation as shipment. And now I need to just upload the bill over here. As soon as I upload the bill over here, this will capture the number of packages, the country of origin, the port of loading, the BL number, gross weight, and different charges as well over here with the IGST, social welfare charge, and the product charges here as well, right? So I'll just enter the country of consignment as Singapore, the date over here as 10. And I also need to enter the BOE item details, right? I'll enter the item details as flybird, and I'll enter the image as well so that the details get auto populated. I'll have the quantity entered as 10, the price as 10,000, and the assembly as 10,000, and the basic custom duty as 1,000. And I'll submit the bill of entry form. Now, once we submit the bill of entry form, let's move on to the purchase order. Let me click on purchase order, and in the purchase order, let's click on the international PO, and we have completed the this bill of lading and a bill of entry. Once the bill of lading and bill of entry are completed, we need to produce the custom clearance document to clear the goods, right? So I'll pay the duty charges, and once the duty charges are paid, which we know the total from the bill of entry, and then we'll clear the custom documents as well, where we'll produce the custom documents and clear the goods. Once the custom clearance is completed, we have the invert goods over here, right? So this means that the goods can be taken out, and it can be moved to the warehouses. So once the goods come into the warehouses, I can click on invert goods, and this would update the inventory over here as quantity of stock as 30. How many invert quantity is there? We have 20, which is the invert quantity that is available, right? So now we have the retailers, right? As I told you before, we have two different stakeholders. One is the vendor, another one is the retailer. The retailers, we have entered the retailer over here as Spark Parker, and we have entered the details of the retailer over here. They too have their separate portal, which looks like this, where we have the sales order report that they can see. They can not edit, or they cannot go ahead and see any other module inside the application but the retail sales, which is the sales order report. So we have set out the permission set as such. Now let's raise a sales order. Let me click on add record and raise a sales order as Parker, and I'll raise the sales order number as 12243, and let me click on the date as 24th, and let me click on the item as flybird, and I want a quantity of 10 over here, right? So the available quantity is 30. I wanted to send out the quantity of 10 to the retailer, right? So I'll submit it with the net total and click on submit over here, right? So now if I go into the retailers portal over here, which I have logged into, where if you see over here, we are logged into Zylker retailer at gmail.com, which is the Gmail ID of the retailer. Let me reload this page. And if you see, the retailer is able to see an entry over here with the number of quantity that is required, that needs to be taken from the warehouse as well, right? Now let me get back to the presentation. So we saw the customs process over here, right? So we saw the custom process of a bill of lading and bill of entry. Post that, we were able to pay the duty charges and the custom clearance was done. We were also able to invert the stock into the inventory, and post that, we were able to raise a sales order for the retailer. Once the sales order is raised, right, we were able to check the stock outwards, that is also calculated inside the inventory as well. So you can see the stock outward over here in the inventories. If you click on the inventories, we have the outward quantity of stock, which is 10 that we have distributed outside. Now, when I click on this report over here, right, I am able to see a detailed view of the good, which is the Flybird laptop. So, which has different categories that we have. It is under electronics. It is a laptop. We have the image, the code, and the brand, and so on. So this is a basic detailed view that is available in Zoho Creator platform. Now, in Zoho Creator, we have introduced a revolutionizing concept called as Canvas Builder. Under all items, let me click on a report over here, and this is one such Canvas builder that we have used to develop a detailed report, where it looks with it looks very good. It looks easier to view different informations as well. This captures all the fields that are there in the form, and you can use them to auto populate the images as well as the fields. We also have the tabular column format where you can view the information in the tabular column format, and we also have different tabs that can be used as well over here inside the detailed view of reports. So this gives you a more user friendly way of looking into the detailed view. You also have a comment section wherein you can see the comments and reply to the comments, and also have a conversation being built inside the comments section as well. So we have a separate session for the canvas builder in the coming week, which is exclusively for the canvas builder, which happens on the coming Thursday. You can attend the session in the coming weeks. Please note down in your calendar. We will be sharing the links. Our co-trainers will be sharing the links now. Now let's go ahead and look into the next option, which is the integration. We had explained to you earlier about an integration that we have performed, which is nothing but the retailers over here. So we have tried to capture the retailers in Zoho Books. Since the retailers are our customers as well, we wanted to capture the contacts of the customer, and we wanted to create a integration flow between Zoho Creator and Zoho Books. Now let me click on the retailer over here, and let me enter a retailer, and let me enter the company name as CJ Industries, and let me have the retailer name. Let me auto populate it. Enter India, and let me submit this retailer over here, right? So we have a new retailer that we have added into the system. As soon as I add this into the system, we have Zoho Books that I have logged into with this with the same login, where I have a lot of details that I can capture inside the Zoho Books application. This is the interface of it, where I have sales orders, which captures customers, estimates, invoices, and so on. We also have different modules like purchase, time tracking over here. So now if I reload this page, I will be able to see the entry that I had made inside the application that we had created. It will have all the other details over here called with CJ Parker with their email address and the phone number as well. So how were we able to connect between the two applications, right? So let me go ahead over here, click on solutions. In the top right corner, we have create solutions. I can click on create solution, click on integration flows. And in the integration flow, I have a create from scratch or import from gallery. I can click on create from scratch, and I can name the flow and create a flow which will look like this over here. I have created a flow between Zoho Books and the application that we have developed. So when a record is being created in the application that I have developed, and over here, if you see, we have a Zoho Books action that we have added, which is called as create customer. So I can search from my left all the applications. So I'll just search Zoho Books, and over here I have different actions that I can use as well inside the flow. So I can create a bill, or I can create a contact person. In this case, let's take once the customer has been created, right? I can raise an invoice to the customer, right? Or I can create a new item. So depending upon your business use case, you can create a different flows inside the uh, integration flow option that is available. So now let me get back to the presentation. Now let's look at the other use cases that can be done inside the application, inside the platform. We have manufacturers as organizational users. This is nothing but we first saw the application from the side of the distributors. You can also develop an application which has organizational users as manufacturers, where you can maintain the procurement process. You can have different modules that can manage the distributors. It can also manage the inventory maintenance as well. You can also track the progress and reporting as well inside the application that you are building. You can also develop a warehouse management application which would maintain different operations of the warehouse, and you can also optimize the storage space in warehouses. Uh, just imagine you having multiple warehouses as a company, and you want to maintain the storage space of the warehouses and optimize the space. You can use a module just for that. You can also automate the picking, packing, and sorting process. You can have the inward and outward movement of goods being maintained in the application. And you can also create an integration flow like how we had created just now, uh, from an application that you are creating into Zoho Books as well. Now let's have a small recap of what we have covered till now. We had different stakeholders being discussed about in the trading and distribution business. We also saw how digitization changed the industry as a whole. We saw the application Zylker trading and distribution, where we were able to see different features like the canvas builder for a detailed view of reports. We saw the Zoho Creator portal. We saw blueprints in Zoho Creator, and we also saw custom AI for the OCR model. So, with this, we come to the end of our learning table series session. The upcoming sessions are coming next week, which is the Creator Tech Connect series on the Canvas Builder. I request you all to fix that date, which is 17th of August, where we cover the Canvas Builder as a whole in a single session. We'll also be having the next learning table series on the agriculture industry in the coming month. So you can go ahead and scan the QR code and register for the sessions. I'll keep the screen up for a few more minutes so that you can go ahead, scan, and register as well. Our co-trainers will also be sharing the links so that you can save the link and register later as well. So let me just give it few minutes. So if you have any questions with regards to the session or the application, you can ask in the questions tab. Our co-trainers would be happy to help you out. For any further queries on the training, you can drop a mail to training@zohocreator.com. Guidance on different topics that you need to learn. We'll be happy to share different videos of our previous sessions as well. So you can drop a mail to training@zohocreator.com, and we'll be able to guide you the right way. I once again repeat, our co-trainers will also be sharing the address as well, which is training@zohocreator.com. I thank you all for joining the session. We'll be closing the session now. Have a good day.